Okay, this is Mr. Thompson just finishing up the assignment, how to manage your checking account with students. I did just have a student, Connor Kelly, he just asked a great question, which is, do the dates have to be in order in a checking register? And the answer to that question is, if you are entering the transactions as you make them, they will automatically be in date order. But it doesn't matter if they're not in date order because it's still going to balance out. And you'll see that in the next assignment. It'll balance out as we account for this. But yes, if you are writing them in your register as you make every transaction every night, you get your debit card purchases and you put them in, and then you go home and you put them in your register, they should be in date order. Yeah, it's okay though. It doesn't hurt anything. Are you a little OCD? It bugs you? Okay. 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 All right, no worries. But to finish what I was saying, just to remind you guys, I do recommend going with a big commercial bank, because then, yeah, like Wells Fargo, because in that way, whenever you travel, you don't, like, if you need to pull out $40, you don't have to, it doesn't cost you $10 and that foreign ATM fee from the ATM and the $5 or $10 fee, whatever your bank charges you. Yes, ma'am.
But can't you also, like, say you have to go to Walmart for something, when it asks for cash back, if
Yes.
you want cash back, could you also do that?
Yes. And another student asked a very excellent question. If you go to Walmart or a retailer or grocery store, and they always ask you on that little terminal where you put in your PIN, they always ask, do you want cash back? That's just like an ATM, which brought up one more thing that we don't, it's not in the curriculum, but I'll just tell you guys. You know how, okay, so you can't get cash back, and that's one way that it doesn't cost you a fee. Remember, just to review, when you run your debit card as a credit transaction, it processes like it's a credit card, even though it's coming out of your checking account. And then it has that electronic authorization that stays on. That electronic authorization will drop off, and they have to wait for that paper receipt to show back up. So if you can see the terminal and it's somewhere that somebody can't put a skimmer on real easy, go ahead and use debit, because that'll post right through to your account automatically. You don't have to worry about that electronic authorization dropping off. You save the merchant money, right? Because they don't have to pay that 3% fee to Visa, and you can get cash back. So there's a good reason to do that. But there's one other thing that's worth mentioning, which is that how many of you guys have gone through and made a purchase with your debit card and they said, would you like to donate $5 to this cause? Right? Or would you like to donate $10 to this cause? Here's why companies do that. Because if you say yes and you donate that money, they get to claim the money you donated through them as their donation against their own taxes. Yeah. So so they get to basically scam, the tax man. They scam Uncle Sam. Like, let's say all of us in Casper give $1 million in charity at the end of making groceries. They get to pay $1 million less in taxes, saying, look at these charitable donations we made. And it was all you guys making them. And then they get to advertise, Scam Mart this year donated $1 million to help needy families. And then they get to deduct the cost of advertising, their TV and radio advertising, from their taxes. Is that a scam or what?
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, wouldn't it be great to be a corporation? Okay. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, hurry up, go get a drink. Okay. All right, so I'm glad you brought that up. Excellent question, Kylie. All right, so, and our last one was a deposit. But where do we need to put deposits, guys? Right, so we put it in this column for deposit. And it was $288, right? A what? Yeah. Put your name on the board. Okay, and what was the date on it? 3/15/19. And this one was a deposit. So for this one, I'd like to use the code DEP for deposit. Okay, and does it tell us what the deposit was?
Yes.
It's our paycheck. So that's income, right? So instead of, remember how I taught you guys to use 0.8 to figure net pay from gross pay, right? The better thing to actually do when you budget, once you get a sense for your paychecks, is to actually use your real net pay. Because you may pay on your paycheck for some additional benefits. Like maybe you pay for vision insurance, which is for me and my son about $30 a month. So when you budget, you want to use your actual paycheck. That rule of thumb of 0.8 is just like if you don't know what that paycheck's going to be yet before you get a job. Once you get your paychecks, now you know your net pay. It's $288 every paycheck. In this case, this is probably every 2 weeks, right? They're getting paid every 2 weeks. One last reminder, If you're getting paid every 2 weeks, how many budgets do you need? 2, one for each paycheck. Yes. Yep. So just say which bills you're paying out of the first paycheck, which bills you're paying out of the second. No, I won't count off on that. You're just learning how to budget. Okay, but yeah, you do need to do that. So now instead of subtracting that from the running balance, what do? I add it, and what do you guys get? 556 cents. Okay, guess what, guys? We are done with this assignment. However, there is one question up here. If we scroll back up, it says, what account activities do you want to keep in your register? So what do you want to put in there? Everything. Okay, so let's be specific. Let's list them. What are they? Give me the first one. What we do first today? What's the first one we put in? Checks. Okay, and what's the next kind of transaction we need to put on? Debit cards, debit purchases. Okay, could you do W or C or D or C afterwards to remind you whether you ran it as debit or credit? And could you highlight those ones when you get home that you put through as a credit so you don't forget that money's going to look like it's gone, and then it's going to look like it's back. It's going to be ghost money that comes back. So I'd recommend putting the C and then highlighting it later when you get home for running it as a credit. Okay, so you got checks and debit purchases with your debit card, your Visa debit card. What other kinds of transactions do we need to include? What's that? Withdrawals. So teller withdrawals. That's when you go into the bank to the teller. What other kinds of withdrawals? Alta, Nick, you should be paying attention. ATM withdrawals. Okay, and what other kinds of transactions? What about fees? All fees. Does that sum it up? And look down below. There you go. There they are. And also if you get any refunds too, right? There's one we missed. So like how many of you guys have bought something and returned it? That is one thing we all forget to put back in our register. Research shows we always forget to put our refunds. So that's one thing that screws us up when we're trying to balance an account, because we forgot to put that refund back in here. So just try to remind yourself anytime you buy something on Amazon or at Walmart and you return it, you got to go ahead and put it in your register. Okay, has everybody got this one? All right. As long as your amounts match, everything is good. Go ahead and click what? Turn in. We're done with that one. I'm going to go ahead and stop.